My name is Lieutenant Richard, R-I-C-H-A-R-D, Myers, M-E-Y-E-R-S, and I'm the lieutenant of our LVMPD sex crime section. Thank you for coming out this morning. The reason that we asked each of you to come here today was to highlight some of the work that my section has done and to reach out and ask for additional victims to come forward should there be any. The men that you see here to my left are men that have committed multiple sexual assaults in the Las Vegas Valley, victimizing numerous female victims within our jurisdiction. The good news is that each of these cases has led to the arrest of these suspects, and they are currently going through the criminal justice process. In some of the cases, victims were prostitutes in our area. In others, the victims were not prostitutes. They just happened to be in areas where prostitution activity occurs. These suspects, we believe, thought it would be easy to target these women, and what I'm sure that they didn't count on was a team of detectives who were willing to work exhaustively to bring them and hold them accountable for the actions that they occurred. Each of these men is considered a violent predator, and we suspect that there are additional victims, and we're asking them to come forward with information at this time. These cases all have similarities. Many of these crimes occurred in areas known for prostitution activity. That's not to say that each of these victims was a prostitute. It just means that they were in that area. Once arrested, the suspects and the investigations that led to their arrest showed that there was an increase in violence from the beginning of their criminal activity to the time that they were arrested. Regardless of the socioeconomic, demographic, or the victim's initial willingness to go forward with their case, an exhaustive investigation occurred in order to hold these suspects accountable. These investigations included numerous sections of the LVMPD, to include the Homicide Sex Crimes Bureau, the Southern Nevada Counterterrorism Center, the Criminalistics Bureau, numerous LVMPD patrol area commands, the Vice Section, the Major Violators Section, and the LVMPD PIO office. The other thing that is unique about some of these investigations are that there were citizens who were willing to see something and say something. And as we roll into the New Year's Eve time of year for the LVMPD, we ask citizens who see something that doesn't look right to come forward and pass their information to the police department so that we can conduct investigations on that situation that didn't look right. These citizens were willing to be good witnesses, and they were willing to assist with the LVMPD investigations. Their cooperation was instrumental in solving some of these crimes. And finally, on December 11th, 2020, the last suspect that you see there, Jorge Perez, agreed to meet a female on an online dating application. Once Mr. Perez met the female victim in the 5000 block of East Sahara, he violently sexually assaulted her at gunpoint. An investigation occurred, and Mr. Perez was located and arrested for that crime. On December 14th, we sent out a press release asking for additional victims to come forward, because as I stated before, each of these investigations has led us to learn that many times once a suspect is arrested for a sex crime, it's not the first time that they've committed it. The previous investigations lead us to believe that there are additional victims associated with Mr. Perez. And we're asking anyone with information regarding Mr. Perez or any of the other three predators that you see there on those pictures to contact the LVMPD Sexual Assault Section at 702-828-3421 or Crime Stoppers. As always with Crime Stoppers, any information leading to an arrest and conviction may have reward money attached to it. And with that, I'll take a few questions. Yes, ma'am.
Are these assaults on sex workers or in areas where there's a lot of sex work, are they increasing in recent months?
So we haven't seen an increase on sex worker victims. This is just kind of to show you some of the work that my section has done and to let the public know that, again, regardless of the victim's socioeconomic background, etc., the LVMPD is going to conduct a thorough investigation.
Can you provide any other information on men who are shown here, their names, and when these crimes occurred?
I can. So, and the LVMPD PIO is also going to provide some information out. The first predator that you see here is Michael Nixon. Michael Nixon committed crimes in January, February, and March and was arrested in March The second subject that you see there is Jamar Reed. The investigation into Mr. Reed began in April, and as we conducted our investigation, we were able to link him back to approximately 8 sexual assaults that occurred in the area of Washington and I-15. And the third subject that you see there is Luis Moreno. Luis Moreno has now been linked to 6 sexual assaults and robberies that occurred in the LVMPD jurisdiction. All of that information was provided in previous press releases as well. Okay, if there's no additional questions. Yes, ma'am, one more.
Another question. What are some key safety steps that women and men can take if they're deciding to use an online dating platform?
So I think some of the key safety steps that women and men can take in online dating platforms is to, first of all, meet in a public area. That is my best recommendation for safety, whether it be a local bar, a local restaurant, something of that nature, where the public is around. And then before you move into a private area with that person that you don't really know, get to know them first. And that would be what I would recommend is, keeping that interaction in public until you're comfortable with that person. The last one.
One more question if no one else has one. For the women, for the sex workers who may have been victims to some of these men, if they're nervous to come forward with information, what would you say to them?
So that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Sex crimes is different than any other crime we investigate in the LVMPD. The victim controls the tempo of that investigation. What I would ask is, if they're on the fence on whether or not to report, come and report. And then my detectives will work with those victims, and when they feel comfortable for their investigation to go forward, we will activate those investigations and go forward. All right, thank you. I appreciate you guys coming out this morning, and have a safe and Merry Christmas.